This week's parsha is Parshas Seitzei. This week's shir should be Zchus for Shlema for Chaim Dov ben Mino Rachel, and for the continued recuperation of Imi Morasi Chana Bas Pasha B'Soch Shar Chol Yisrael. So we have in the parsha in Perek Chaf Beis Pasuk Ches, an interesting halacha. It says Kisivne Bayis Chadash. When you build a new home, Vasisa Makel Gagecha, you should make a roof, a fencing for the roof, or let's say the high porch or something like that. So you shouldn't have blood in your home, lest somebody fall off the roof. In other words, the Torah is telling us there's halacha that if a person builds a home, so they have a mitzvah if they have the type of roof that people go on, or another high area that people go on, they have a mitzvah to secure the area so that people can't fall off and get hurt. So Rashi picks up on the interesting language. It says, Ki yipol hanofel, when the fallen one falls. It calls him the fallen one before he even falls. So what's the pshat in that? So Rashi quotes the Medrash. The Medrash says, Roy hayalipol mishesh yemei bereshis. This person was fit to fall from the 6 days of creation already. That's why we're calling him a nofel, because he's going to fall anyway. You shouldn't be the cause of his death. Right? Because even though this person is destined already from the 6 days of creation that he's going to fall and die at this time, it shouldn't come about through your hands. You don't want to be the one who, because in the day you are held liable for it, you will get the Aveira, and why should that come about through your hands? Okay, so Rabbeinu Bechayai picks up on the language of the Medrash. Roy to fall from the 6 days of creation. What does that mean? From the 6 days of creation, it's already planned every person is going to fall off a roof. So Rabbeinu Bechayai explains what Chazal are telling us is that actually all creations are created b'cheftzam u'ritzonam. They're all created according to their will. Hashem is hodiyam bereishas habriya kol inyanim kulam. V'chamik masidim lavo aleim. Hashem actually lets every creation know all the happenings that will come to them, the length of their days, when they're going, how they're going to die. And the same thing, their parnasa, if it's going to be simple, if it's going to be difficult, if it's going to be on their own, self-employed, if it's going to come from others. And this is the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah on Yud Aleph. Kol ma'aseh bereishis l'daitam nivru tzivyonim nivru. That all the creations are created l'daitam, according to their knowledge, as we say in Kiddush. Vayichu hashamayim v'aretz v'chol tzivam. So the Gemara darshans v'chol tzivam v'chol that everything is created according to its sivyon, according to its form, that every creation, in fact, agrees to its circumstances of how it's going to be created. Hashem asks everyone, okay, this is the deal, are you on board? And they say yes, hakol rotzav v'kibbutz, they all want and they accept it. And that's what the Medrash means. This person was fit to fall from the 6 days of creation, but you have a punishment if you're the one who causes it, and therefore the Torah is instructing you to build the fence around your roof. So I see what Rabbeinu Bechayai is saying is that basically the soul comes before Hashem they all came in the first 6 days of creation, and Hashem showed them, okay, based on your soul, here's what would be the best for you. And the soul signed up for it. The soul said, yes, that type of life, that type of situations to be in, that's what makes the most sense for me, and that's what I agree to. The Chesed LaAvram, I was led to the Sefer Chesed LaAvram by Rav Avram Mazuli. So that's all. He was a Makobel in the 1600s in Morocco. And he elaborates on this idea a little bit more. And he points out that the animals, Hashem went to the Sar, to the Malach in charge of let's say, all the cows and all the animals, and told them that this is going to be the deal. Meaning with the horses, you're going to be basically something that people ride. And they said yes. And told the kosher animals, you're going to be something that people maybe use for food. Yes. And so all much more so the human beings. So he says certain things people were able to choose. They were ledaitam, for example, whether they were going to be weak or strong, rich or poor, tall or short, good looking or bad looking, respected or degraded. Those were in a person's choice. And he explains how the idea is that maybe that some of the souls chose would rather the good things in this world, and some of them chose would rather the good things in the next world. A little bit troubling to me to understand such an idea, how souls in the Olam HaEmes could choose this world over the next world, but that seems to be what he's saying. And so he says There are certain things that were not up for grabs. For example, male or female, smart or foolish, those things were not in the play. Those things were not l'daitam, but most other happenings, how long you're going to live, how you're going to die, those types of things were, a person chose that situation. So there are different directions to go in with this fascinating Rabbeinu Bechayai. One of them is just the idea of, are things preordained? How does our free will fit in with that? Seems there's an idea that, the pact that hand will be dealt is something our soul signed up for from the 6 days of creation already, based on how the world was going to play out. And at the same time, we have free will, how we're going to handle our situation and whether or not we're going to be a tzaddik or a rasha based on the situation that we're given. It's above my pay grade to get into the philosophical aspect of this, nor do I have the time for it. People can look at the Chovas HaVavos and Shar Avodas Elokim in the 8th parak. He does explore this problem, that on the one hand, we have many psukim that make it clear that nothing happens in this world without Hashem, unless it's Hashem's will. Mizeh Amar Vatei Hashem Otziva. Who says this and Hashem doesn't command it? Nothing happens without Hashem commanding it. And at the same time, it's very clear that we have reward and punishment and that we have free will. He gets into how some of the different Rishonim explained it. The approach to massively oversimplify his approach is basically, it's not really your problem. That was the way that I understand it, meaning on the one hand, we have Hashem assures us that everything is under his complete control. And on the other hand, Hashem ensures us that we have free will and we get reward and punishment for what we do. And he says it's really something which Hashem didn't feel was good for us to really understand this stuff. So that's why Hashem didn't give us the power to understand it. He goes on to give different mashalim of why it's better for us not to understand it. But to me, it's really the same question. How does it make sense that every soul picked its deal from the 6 days of creation, and at the same time, everyone has free will and things play out in the way that they play out? So that's as deep as I'm going to get into that point. But this is how Rabbeinu Bechayai and Rav Azuli are understanding this Gemara in Rosh Hashanah and this Medrash, that in fact, that Hashem gives us all that Hashem gave us all our situations, and at the time that he gave them to us, in fact, we saw them and we understood that they were the best things for us, and that's in fact why we signed up for them, why we agreed to them. There I did want to explore is just the idea that this has the potential to be a life-changing idea for us. There's a book I've quoted once before, The Rolling Rabbi, Mrs. Symes, that she was in a situation where her family had a horrific car accident and she and all her children were fine, and her husband became a quadriplegic and lived a very difficult, accomplished much, but had a very difficult time for the rest of his life. And when this accident happened, she was really had a very, very difficult time with it. And she went to somebody dragged to her to shir, and she heard this Rabbeinu Bechayai. And she's like, how could I have signed up for this? This is like the worst thing that ever happened to me in life. And at the same time, she believes in the Torah. So she said, all right, if the Torah says that I must have signed up for it, I have to understand it. And she sat and she worked on it. And this really became what's given her the chizuk all the years, this idea. And really has propelled her forward, this realization that, all right, the Torah says I signed up for it, I must have signed up for it. So not only does Hashem know what's best for me, at one point I knew it was best for me also, and I have to work to make the best of my challenges and to be a good Oved Hashem and to live a happy life. It's a beautiful book, and it's an important Musar lesson. We all have to learn from her the idea that this idea of taking the Torah and internalizing it and allowing it to give us the strength to handle what life throws our way. We may be zocheh to do so. Wishing you a wonderful Shabbos.